Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Mr. Sullivan.
Now, let's go back, cover some of the things you talked about this morning. Before Gawker posted the excerpts of the sex tape, you mentioned that a website called The Dirty posted pictures or stills from the sex tape, right?
Yes.
Okay. And that happened in April of 2012, right?
Yes.
In fact, The Dirty, for its part, posted still photographs, pictures, on 2 occasions in April of 2012, right?
I believe so.
Okay. And those pictures, on both occasions, showed Mr. Balea engaged in sexual activity, right?
I think they were still photographs?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
But they were depicting him. I mean, he wasn't sitting there reading a book, was he?
Well, I can't tell you what he was doing by a still photograph. If you want to ask me what the still photograph depicted, I think we could do that.
That's what I asked you. It depicted sexual activity, didn't it?
Well, it depicted what appeared to be Mr. Balea standing in a position in reference to where a bed was located, but there was no movement, in other words.
No.
Okay, then we're on the same page.
Let us not be confused. That's why I said still photographs.
Right.
Right?
Okay.
Okay. So you're with me.
I'm with you.
Okay. Now, you saw those postings on The Dirty, didn't you?
Yes.
Okay. And after you saw the postings on The Dirty, that website, you sent the owner of the website, Nick Ritchie, you sent him an email, right?
Something to that effect. Called him, sent him an email, one of the two.
All right. Now, if we could look at Defendants Exhibit 75. Alrighty. This, if you could take a moment, look that over.
Okay.
Had a chance to review that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. This is the email that you sent to Nick Ritchie, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
All right. And you see that in the upper left-hand corner that it bears a date of April 23rd, 2012. Do you see that?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Now, it's your understanding that Nick Ritchie is the fellow who publishes The Dirty, right?
Yes.
Okay. And before you went and sent this email to him on April the 23rd, you asked one of your clients, a fellow by the name of Joe Francis, you asked him to talk to Nick Ritchie, didn't you?
Yes.
Okay. Now, Joe Francis, for his part, is the fellow behind the Girls Gone Wild series of videos, right?
Yes, past tense.
Okay. He was. And those are the videos of young women on spring break and that type of thing?
Yes.
Okay. Now, you asked your client, Joe Francis, to reach out to Nick Ritchie on Mr. Balea's behalf, right?
Not in so many words, but I would have, I think, received a phone call from Mr. Francis advising me that he would place me in contact with Mr. Ritchie as it concerned Mr. Ritchie's photographs that were on his website. I think that's probably a pretty accurate way to state it.
Okay. Your understanding was that Mr. Ritchie said that he would stop running the photos taken from the sex tape, right? Right.
He was more or less in agreement not to run any additional photographs and primarily not to run the sex tape.
I see. Now, if we could look, please, at the second paragraph, the one that starts, "It was my understanding." All right. See there it says, "It was my understanding in speaking with Mr. Francis it was not your intention to continue to run photographs as it concerns the alleged sex tape
Right.
of Terry Belay. You see that?
Yes.
Okay. Now, it's the time you sent this in April 23rd of 2012, those still photographs were still up on his website, weren't they? And by
Yes.
him, I mean Nick Ritchie, the Dirty.
Yes.
Okay. And in fact, what the Dirty did is not only didn't they take that down, they went and posted a second set of these photographs, didn't they?
I believe they did post an additional photograph.
Right. Okay. If you would look, sir, further down the email there, let's go 4 paragraphs below where we are. You see the paragraph that starts, "I am advised." Okay? Can folks see that? Yeah. Okay. Can we blow that up a little bigger so that folks can see it? Okay. It says, "I am advised on today's date there are additional photos that have been posted on your website. If it is your intention to go forward, please advise and I will respond accordingly." Do you see that?
Yes, I do.
So as of this point in time, as of April 23rd of 2012, you were concerned that the Dirty, not only didn't they take down what they had up, they went and posted more material even after Mr. Francis reached out to them and spoke with them, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, if you look below that paragraph to the next paragraph, your email also hints at the possibility of a civil suit, right?
Yes.
Okay. You made the point of saying, "I might also advise you there is civil liability to be occasioned by this matter as well." Did you see that?
Yes.
Okay. So that was kind of a polite way of telling them that it's a warning to the Dirty, wasn't it?
Well, yes, I imagine you could classify it as such.
Okay. And you were warning them that by posting these photos could expose them to civil liability.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Plain English, could be a lawsuit coming if you don't mend your ways.
Yes.
Okay. Now, you were asking the Dirty to cease and desist from posting photos taken from that sex tape, right?
Yes.
Okay. And cease and desist is one of those fancy lawyer words where you use 3 words to say what 1 word could accomplish, right?
Yes.
You said stop posting these photos, these stills taken from the tape, right?
Right.
Okay. Now, after you sent this email to Mr. Ritchie, you were doing the best you could to monitor the Dirty's website, right?
The Dirty among many, many, many others.
Okay, fair enough. You're doing the best you could.
Best I could.
Okay. But despite your best efforts, the screenshots remained up on the Dirty site, right?
Yes, they did.
Okay. And after you wrote this email demanding the takedown, the Dirty did not take down their set of photos, did they?
They had not taken down the ones they had posted up until that point. Absolutely correct.
All right. When Gawker posted its piece on October 4, 2012, as you sit here today, do you know whether the Dirty post was still up?
I do not.
All right. See if we can help out on that score. If we could call up Plaintiffs Exhibit number 2. All right. Mr. Houston, do you recognize this as the post by Gawker that brings us all together here today?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Now, if you, sir, would look to the date you see the date we've been talking about, October 4, 2012. Do you see that?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Now, are you aware that in the post there were links so that a person, a reader, could go and click on sites? Were you aware that this post by Gawker contained a link to the dirty site?
Quite possibly, yes.
Pardon?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Now, if we could go and look at Defendants Exhibit 57, lest there be any doubt, you see, sir, that is one of those posts that we were talking about on the dirty.
Correct. Correct.
Okay. And if you could look, please, at the upper right-hand corner, we'll see there a date.
Correct. Monday, October 15.
Okay. So as of the time that Gawker did its post, the dirty original publication of those stills was still up there, right?
True.
Okay. Now, you did not send any more cease and desist letters to the dirty, did you?
Did not.
No. And you did not file a lawsuit against the dirty, did you?
Did not.
Okay. And I take it you didn't file a lawsuit against Nick Ritchie either?
No,
correct?
sir. Nope.
Okay. So, let us move and direct our attention on the cease and desist letter that you mentioned prior to the luncheon recess. And for that, we will turn once again to plaintiffs. Plaintiffs Exhibit 268. You could pull that. All right. Now, at this time, Gawker had posted, we established the last exhibit, that Gawker had posted on October 4, 2012, and your email here, if you could highlight the date, was October 5, 2012. So the next day, you then sent Gawker and Mr. Denton a letter, right?
Yes.
Okay. And you were concerned at that time that this video was available on the internet, right?
Yes.
And the video excerpts that Gawker posted depicted Mr. Balea engaged in sexual activity, right?
Yes.
Okay. And you wanted it removed from the internet, right?
I did.
Okay. Now, the cease and desist letter that we have there, that's the cover email to it, was sent by your assistant to Mr. Denton, right? Sent by email initially.
Yes.
Okay. And then you followed up, didn't you send one, I think, by FedEx as well?
I did.
Okay. All right. Now, the letter was sent to Mr. Denton about 1 p.m. East Coast time, the day after the video was posted, right?
I'm not sure exactly what time. If you're looking at this, it says 10:02 a.m. That says 13:02. So obviously we can use the 13:02.
Well, I think the mystery here is solved because the 13:02 says Eastern Daylight Time.
Correct.
I think the 10:02 is probably you being out in Reno.
Right, so I would have sent it more on my time than Mr. Denton's time.
Yes, sir.
Makes sense.
Yeah, okay. All right. Now, let us look at the letter that was attached to your email. The first line of your letter, we could pull up that first paragraph. If you could make that a little bigger so folks can see. See there, the very first part, you indicate to Mr. Denton that it says, we are litigation counsel for Terry Balea.
Yes, sir, that's what it says.
All right. And Again, that means that you're the lawyer who represents Mr. Balea in lawsuits, right?
Right, that in my team. I refer to us collectively, we, our, that sort of thing.
Okay, fair enough. If you would look, please, at the second paragraph of the letter, it says, let's see if we can find it there. Likewise, down there at the bottom of the paragraph, likewise, Hulk Hogan vigorously protects his privacy in the most intimate details of his life. Do you see that?
I do, sir.
Okay. Now, you referred to Mr. Balea there as Hulk Hogan, right?
Well, actually, I introduce him as professionally known and then repeat that phrase throughout the course of the letter because more people are familiar with the name Hulk Hogan than, of course, Terry Balea. So I wanted him to understand that we're litigation counsel for Terry Balea, the person. And the consequence of the following lines was just to more or less familiarize with the subject matter as opposed to some other type of distinction.
Right. Because in the very first line, you said we're litigation counsel
Right.
for Terry Balea.
Exactly.
And then the rest of the letter, it would appear you're talking about Hulk Hogan, Hulk Hogan, Hulk Hogan, right?
Right. It's the identifier as opposed to the person, if that makes sense to you.
All right. So let me ask you this. Let's look at the second page. And if we could focus on the fourth line of the second full paragraph. You see there's a carryover paragraph at the top?
I do.
Okay. And it's the paragraph that starts, "We can assure you." Okay, that paragraph.
Of course.
All right. And you'll see the fourth line says, Hulk Hogan would like to end this matter immediately by learning the identity of all persons involved with, quote, shopping the video to you and any other party. Do you see that?
I do see that.
Okay. So that's what you were telling Mr. Denton, right?
In part, yes.
Right. You wanted to end this matter immediately, right?
Yes.
Okay. If you would take a look, please, at the next sentence. And it says, if you immediately disclose the requested information and refrain from becoming involved with any use of the video, Hulk Hogan will consider this matter closed and will not seek legal remedies against you for the issues raised in this letter.
I do see that.
Okay. So you asked Mr. Denton to disclose the name of the person who had sent the sex tape to Gawker, right?
I certainly wanted to know that.
Pardon?
I did want to know that.
Right. And you assumed at that time that Gawker knew who it was that sent the video to AJ, right?
I believe Gawker did know.
You believed Gawker did know.
Yes.
Okay. And so that's why you wanted to know.
Yes, of course I would want to know.
Okay. And you asked Gawker to take the video down, right?
Yes, very importantly.
Okay. And you said if you do these things, we won't sue you, right?
I believe it says that we will consider this matter closed and not seek legal remedies
Okay.
for the issues raised in the letter. So again, it's a rather lengthy term to accomplish the same goal.
All right. And you ended your letter. You told him that, it says, we look forward to receiving your response by immediately. Do you see that last paragraph?
I do see that.
Okay. Now, you got a response. You didn't get a response right away, right?
I did not.
Okay. In fact, several days went by, right?
Yes.
Okay. And you received a response, and Mr. Harder put it up there on the screen briefly this morning. You received a response from a gentleman by the name of Cameron Strocker, right?
Yes.
Okay. So that you can observe that, let's pop up there Plaintiffs Exhibit 269. Okay, just hit 269. If you could make that top portion a little larger, please. Now, and you can make out the date there, right?
Yes, I can.
And you see the email is from Cameron Strocker
Yes.
to you, right?
Yes.
Okay, and the subject you see there is claim of Terry Belay, right?
Right.
Okay, and you recall receiving this?
I do.
Okay, and you received it on October 9, 2012, 6 p.m. is indicated there on the email?
I would imagine, since it was sent at that time, if that is Pacific Standard, I probably would not have seen it until the next morning.
Okay, all right. Now, you see the email, all right, indicates that Cameron Strocker, he identifies himself as Gawker's litigation counsel. You see that?
Seems so, yes.
Yeah, okay. In the first paragraph, all right, if you look at the first paragraph, you see that Mr. Strocker tells you that Gawker, for its part, if you look at the end of the paragraph, the last sentence, under the circumstances, there you go, we respectfully decline your request. Do you see that?
I do see that.
Okay. So at that point, Gawker has informed you that it is not going to take down the video, right?
They have done so.
Pardon?
Yes.
Yes. And the email goes on to explain why Gawker will not take down the video, right?
I believe they're providing whatever rationale they could, yes.
Okay. So let's look at what the email says. If you look at the paragraph that starts the existence and content, do you see that?
I do.
Okay. It says the existence and content of the video were widely reported prior to Gawker's publication. Do you see that?
I do see that.
Okay. He writes, indeed, various news outlets had already identified the woman in the video and her husband. Do you see that?
I do.
Okay. Now that was true, wasn't it? At that time.
In theory, yes.
Okay. At that point in time, there had been media coverage about what went on with Mr. Hogan in the Clems, right?
Right, there were a number of words written about that, yes.
What's that? No.
Yeah, there were a number of words written about that, I think, as you know.
And you recall the National Enquirer piece, I take it?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. And there had been speculation about just what was the real story here, right?
I think you could call it speculation. That's fair.
All right. If we could look, please, at Defendants Exhibit 413. All right. You will see that this is another post on that site, The Dirty. Do you see that?
I do.
You could make out the headline and the date.
I do.
Hulk Hogan porn video revealed to be shot at Bubba the Love Sponge's bedroom. You see that?
I do.
Okay. And it is very tiny, but Tim, if you could make the date larger.
April 24th, 2012.
Yes, sir. There you go. Now, do you recall seeing this article at the time?
And yes, I believe so. I don't want to be absolute, but it sounds familiar.
Okay. All right. So this is posted yet again in April of 2012, and that is well before the Gawker post, right?
Yes.
Okay. Then, if you could see, we can remove the headline and just see the various photographs. Do you recognize any of the photographs there?
Do I recognize any of the photographs?
Yes, sir.
You mean as having personal knowledge of them, or have I seen them before?
Yeah, have you seen those before?
I may have, sir.
Okay. All right. Now, do you recall the post, the article that came out in the National Enquirer?
Do I recall it verbatim? No, I recall the article coming out. I recall the idea of the article. So, yes, I guess would be the answer.
Okay. If you could look, sir, at the Defendants Exhibit 515. Now, you think the date's been hard to find on these other pieces. This one will really tax you. You see down there, you made that date out?
Yes, I do.
Okay. You see it says May 21, 2012.
I do.
All right. And this article, for its part, if you would turn to the second page, all right, you see a headline there that says, Hulk Hogan sex tape shocker, mysterious woman in video was his best friend's wife. Do you see that?
I do see that.
Okay. And this article, again, was months before Gawker posted its own piece online, right?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
With their video.
All right. If you could look on the first page there, across from the headline, if we could move across from the headline. There you go. You see the little heading there, Insiders Told the Inquirer. Do you see that?
I do see that.
Okay. And the paragraph says, Insiders told the Inquirer that the scandalous tape was the secret reason behind Heather and Bubba's February divorce. Though they listed, quote, irreconcilable differences as the official cause. You see that?
I do.
Okay. And it continues, quote, Bubba dumped Heather because of the sex tape, close quote, said a source, who has seen stills from the video and confirmed that the woman was Heather Clem. Quote, Bubba had a suspicion that something was going on, and I'm told he rigged up the bedroom with a hidden camera and caught them in the act. Do you see that?
I do.
Okay. Now, as events turned out, as it would turn out, that report was not accurate, was it?
It is the National Enquirer.
All right. Wasn't accurate, right?
Apparently not.
Okay. Now, at this point in time, in 2012, it had been publicly reported that Heather Clem was in the video. Remember those reports, right?
I do. I do.
And it had been publicly reported that the video was filmed in the Clem's bedroom, right? That was out
yes. That's correct.
there. Okay. And that Mr. Clem was the one who filmed it, right?
Yes, I believe so. I mean, I don't know which time frame you're talking about, so just in a general sense, yes.
Yeah, we're talking, just so you can be clear, we're talking about the spring of 2012.
All right.
Okay. If we could turn our attention once again back to the response to your cease and desist letter, we could look again at Plaintiffs Exhibit 269. Okay. Picking up kind of where we left off. You see where it starts, it says, moreover. Moreover, the video depicts Mr. Balea having sex with a married woman in the woman's home under circumstances in a place where he has no reasonable expectation of privacy. Do you see that?
I do see that.
Okay. He continues with a paren. In fact, it appears that there was a surveillance camera in the bedroom from which the video was made. You see that? Close paren.
Oh, I see that, yes.
Okay. Now, you understood that that was Gawker's position as of October 9, 2012, right?
Apparently so.
Okay. And it's true that Mr. Balea was having sex with a married woman in her home, right?
I would believe that to be true, yes, sir.
Okay. And it's also true that in that home, in that bedroom, there was a surveillance camera while they were having sex, right?
That turned out to be the case, yes, sir.
Okay.
I would say hidden camera more so than surveillance camera, just to kind of keep things online.
You'd prefer that, right?
Well, I think that's actually the truth, sir.
All right. It's certainly your position, I take it, right?
It definitely is my position.
Okay. And then, in fairness, to be fair to your position, the part Mr. Balea contends in this case that he did not have pardon me.
Sorry,
He
what?
contends in this case that he did have a reasonable expectation of privacy, correct?
Yeah, he's in a private bedroom, so I assume that expectation falls in line with reasonableness.
Okay, so on that point, Mr. Strocker's view, as communicated to you in early October, was that in his assessment, he did not have a reasonable expectation of privacy. From Mr. Belea's part, he differs. He thinks he did, and on that subject, parties, they do differ, correct?
Yeah, wildly, sir.
All right. Now, if you continue on from where we were, you see it says, finally, the 1-minute clip shows very little sexual activity and is clearly newsworthy given the public interest in Mr. Belea's marriage, divorce, and his extramarital activities. Do you see that?
I do.
Okay. Now, at this point, there was a fair amount of press attention on Mr. Belea's marriage to Linda, his former wife, right?
At that point, I don't believe so.
At this point in the fall of 2012,
No, I'm not sure.
right? There had been a large amount of coverage, right?
Some years ago, yes.
Okay. Well, it was written about in the tabloids, right?
Yeah, probably even the National Enquirer. But I guess my point is the timing. Is that what you're getting at?
You know, I'm looking at asking you about what is out there already as of this point in time.
In history, yes, it had been written about.
Sure, because Mr. Belea, for his part, he included that in his book, right?
Yes.
Chose to put that in his book. His wife, for her part, she chose to put that in her book.
I don't know who chose what, sir.
Okay, but do you not remember that?
Remember what?
That this was discussed in the books by both parties?
It appears to be, yes.
Okay. Now, do you indicated that you have represented Mr. Belea or Hulk Hogan for some time, right?
Correct, sir.
Okay. Would you, as part of your work with Mr. Belea, would you kind of try to keep up on what the coverage is regarding it?
Not really, unless it was something I had to be involved in.
Okay. You really didn't care?
Well, it's not a matter of caring, it's a matter of perspective and what I do.
All right. Were you involved in, we talked about some of the things that came out of the divorce. Did you get involved in any point in the news coverage about Linda's allegations regarding Brutus Beefcake or any of that?
No, sir.
Okay. Do you remember that?
Really had no part in it. Honestly, don't really know much about it. I think that's, again, the tabloid fodder nonsense, so quite frankly, I don't really pay attention to it.
All right. Let's take a look and see if we could look at Defendants Exhibit 378. Mr. Houston, let's do this.
Yes, sir.
To save us all a lot of time, would you agree with me that there have been a number of tabloid articles over the years reporting on Mr. Belea's personal life? Would you agree with that?
What's a number? And I'm not trying to be difficult, sir, but I don't know whether you consider it some huge amount or some lesser amount. So just to put us in perspective, what are we talking about?
Since you're the fellow on the stand and you're giving the sworn testimony,
Right.
what is your best recollection of the number of articles over the years that have been reported on Mr. Belea's personal life?
Do you mean legitimate press articles,
I
tabloid?
don't think that's for us to decide. Let me define our terms. I'll include in my question everything from the National Enquirer to the New York Times or the Tampa Tribune or the publication that Mr. Belea seems to enjoy appearing on, TMZ, Gossip Celebrity Site. All of that we're going to include. How many?
How many do I think over?
Just you represent him.
I know, but how long, sir? How many years?
Okay, yeah, that's fair, that's fair. You've represented him, I think you told Mr. Harder, about 10 years.
About 9
a
or
decade.
10. Yeah.
Right, roughly.
Right.
Right, okay. 10 years, let's take the period of your representation. You do your level best to give us an answer, all right? What, in that sphere, what do we call it?
I'm going to pluck a number from the sky. I don't know. I can guess some. How about that?
Some.
Yes.
Could you define for us some?
More than 2, less than 100.
All right. So
Fair?
that's a pretty wide range.
Exactly.
Agree. Is that the best you can do for us?
Well, you have to understand something. I don't scour the media looking for Mr. Belea's name. I am an attorney that also has law practice, and I'm a sole practitioner. Consequence of which is I am required to also maintain other cases and the work that is involved in those cases. It doesn't leave me the freedom of time to sit at a computer and scour the media for any reports, articles, or otherwise that may be in existence as it concerns Terry Belea. I wish I had that kind of time.
All right. Let me ask you this. If you could look, please, at the third paragraph. Look at your...
I don't have anything else, sir. Thank you.
Now, here, you look at the third paragraph there. You see that?
I see the third paragraph. Is there any specific part you want me to go to?
Look, starting at as for the specific claims you allege.
Okay.
Okay. It says, given the wide disclosure of the content of the video prior to publication, the content actually posted, and the newsworthiness of the video, there can be no claim for publication of private facts. Do you see that?
Oh, I do see that. I think that's a shame.
All right. And that was Gawker's position, is communicated to you by its lawyer as of October 2012, right?
Hence the reason we're here.
Look, please, at point 2. You see point 2 there starting? Given that the video was made by a third party, not Gawker, there can be no claim for intrusion upon seclusion. Do you see that?
Oh, I see that, sir, yes.
Okay. Now, no one at Gawker was involved in filming Mr. Belea and Ms. Clem's sexual encounter, right?
True, the inclusion comes from the posting,
My question
the
is
intrusion.
my question is more precise. I want to be sure what the areas of dispute are. No one at Gawker was involved in filming Mr. Belea and Ms. Clem's sexual encounter, right?
Not that I know of.
Okay. I mean, we can agree that your client isn't claiming that, right?
No, sir, not that I know of.
Okay. Of all the things he's claiming, that at least is not among them, correct?
Well, I would say it's not among them. I wouldn't say at least, but it's not among them.
All right. And then I'm going to skip number 3. See number 3 there?
I do.
No false light publicity claim may be maintained. That one, you're not seeking to pursue a false light claim, right?
We're seeking to pursue what we are attempting to pursue, Mr. Sullivan.
Right. I
think that's apparent.
Just making it clear. That's why we're not going to discuss that one, because that's not the case. Right?
I don't think we're going to amend today, if that's your concern.
Fair enough. If you look then at number 4, there can be no claim for appropriation of Mr. Belea's name and likeness where the video is not being used for a commercial purpose. Do you see that?
Oh, I do see that, sir.
Okay. And then it says, paren, as the law defines it. Continuing, is true and is newsworthy. Do you see that?
I do.
Okay. When you received this letter, or this email from Mr. Strocker, I take it you did not find it to be persuasive. Is that a fair statement?
I actually don't like that statement. I didn't agree with it.
You didn't agree with it? All right. All right, fair enough. Now, you talked before the luncheon recess, you talked a little bit about an offer letter that was received from Vivid Entertainment. Do you recall that?
I do.
Okay. And you testified about this letter. You got it from, was it Stephen Hirsch?
I believe. Can you put the exhibit up, sir?
Sure, sure. Tim, if you could please display Defendants Exhibit 514. Can I have a moment, Your Honor? Tim, if you could display Plaintiffs Exhibit 15. Mr. Houston, do you recognize that letter?
I do.
Okay. And that's the one we discussed this morning, correct?
It is. Yes, it is.
And you received that one. You received that letter from Vivid Entertainment well before Gawker posted its sex tape, right?
I believe so.
Okay. Months before, I take it. If you could now look, keeping that in mind, if you could now look at Defendants Exhibit 514. Can you take a look at that? You will see this is another article published by TMZ.
Yes.
And can you make out the date there of March 8, 2012?
Yes, I can. March 8th, 2012, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
And then you look, please, at the title of the article. It says, Porn King to Hulk. There's a huge appetite for your sex tape. Do you see that?
I do see that.
Okay. Now, if we could reduce those so that we can see the article, all right, and blow up that top portion, please. Okay, there you go. Now, you see there, if you look closely, a picture of a letter. Can you make that out? It's kind of a little bit cloudy there, but can you make that out?
I do see the letter, yes, sir.
Okay. And if You see there's in the right-hand corner there's a little like tab. It says View Document. Do you see that?
I do see that.
Okay. Did you see this article when it appeared in TMZ at that time, in March of 2012?
I'm sure that I saw it. I'm not sure at the timing, but I'm sure I saw it.
Okay, all right. And you saw it. Did you click on that little link there that says View Document?
Really wasn't necessary. I was familiar with the communication.
Right.
So again, it's time management to some extent.
Okay. I'll represent to you, if you click that little link there, it will take you to the second page. For here is the exhibit.
The letter.
Set up second
Right,
page.
got it.
All right. Now, let's blow that up. And if we could display that exhibit alongside the copy that you had, right? Plaintiffs Exhibit 15. Here you go. Would you agree to take a moment, look those over? All right.
What am I agreeing?
Would you agree, if you had a chance to look them over?
I'm looking at them, yes.
Okay, tell me when you're
I'm done.
comfortable you've had a chance to review.
I'm complete.
You're there?
I'm there.
All right. Would you agree that these two letters are identical? Or
Well,
virtually identical?
They certainly have the same verbiage. I wouldn't be able to do a detailed forensic analysis to know whether they're identical, but they certainly appear to be the same.
All right. Now, let me ask you this. Did you provide to TMZ a copy of the letter that had been sent to you by Mr. Hirsch?
No, sir.
You didn't provide that?
No.
All right. Now, let me ask you this. Do you have any idea how that letter came to find its way to TMZ?
You would have to ask the people at TMZ. Otherwise, I could speculate a number of different people, from Stephen Hirsch to anybody who works in his office, to any other person that wanted to absolutely publicize the fact that they felt this Balea tape was worth significant money, whoever that may be.
Now, are you familiar with situations where these sex tape brokers try to get publicity so they leak these letters themselves?
Like you mean Mr. Hirsch?
Yes, sir.
I've never been involved in that situation, but I'll take your word for it.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this. When you mentioned you spoke with him, right?
Right?
Okay. Did he say anything to you at that time about trying to get publicity on this?
No,
Okay.
absolutely not.
And
That was exactly what we didn't really want.
okay. Turning back, focusing specifically on the conversation you had with Mr. Hirsch, I take it he never tried to negotiate a price with you, did he?
No, sir.
Okay.
There was no need to. I had completely made clear I had absolutely no interest in pursuing that line of discussion, negotiation, pricing, whatever you want to call it. It was irrelevant to me.
You had no interest, right?
Safe statement.
Okay. Now, when you look at the letter, there's no dollar figure in the letter, is there?
No, sir.
Okay. And when you had him on the phone, he didn't start off before you had the chance to tell him you really had little interest in pursuing this. I take it he did not convey to you a dollar figure that he was prepared to pay, right?
No. No dollar figures discussed.
Okay.
It was never at that point, sir.
All right. Now, when we started your examination, you wanted to, or your colleagues wanted to play the TMZ report that you were on. Remember the start of your testimony this morning?
I do. Was that the March 7?
Yes, sir.
Yes, I
That was
do.
the March 7th. And you explained to us that this was a serious affair. You wanted to show the whole TMZ report, right?
Yes.
Okay. As you sit there in the witness chair, are you aware that there are two TMZ reports? There is a short version and there's a long version, right?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay. And on the long version, the version that we didn't look at this morning, do you recall, based on sitting here with us yesterday, that there is the portion toward the end where you and Mr. Balea joke with the host,
Right.
right? Harvey Levin and the gentleman with the dreadlocks. And you joke about, well, at least it wasn't Mr. Hogan with the guy.
Right.
Right.
I think I mentioned that this morning when I was actually talking about that particular report, to the extent that Mr. Levin had started that portion of the conversation with, let me tell a joke or something to that effect.
Right.
And I'll be the first one to say my facetious, sarcastic statements have right. It was an entertainment program, and really, as I look back on it now, I don't think that appropriate.
So as you sit here with us today, with the benefit of 20/20 hindsight, you think, well, it probably wasn't the best thing I could have done.
Yeah, yeah, probably. I mean, under the circumstances, I get it, but, you know, then again, so what, right?
So what?
Exactly.
Right. But you told us that you were trying to convey to anybody out there who might be watching, anybody who might be interested in celebrity sex tapes and the dissemination thereof, that you guys were serious, you didn't want these things disseminated, you wanted to give a warning to people, don't be messing with this. That's what you told us from the stand, right?
Oh, repeatedly, I think.
Isn't that what you told us?
Repeatedly.
Okay. Nevertheless, when you got on TMZ, you decided that, well, we'll kind of kid around about this, right? But
No, that's absolutely wrong. I think you need to review the entire report, the content of the entire report, the context of when that statement was made, the timing of when that joke was made, and I don't think you're going to see anybody laughing or joking around concerning what our intent was if someone was, in my opinion, foolish enough to publish a sex video of my client.
Okay.
I think you're going to be able to draw a significant distinction, sir, and I think you know that.
okay, let me ask you this. You find out on March 7, 2012, that there is a sex tape out there in circulation, right? You sit on an interview, and the gentleman...
There was a rumor, sir.
A rumor, fair
Correct.
enough. You sit in an interview with TMZ, and the gentleman that we've seen in the black T-shirt, Mr. Walters, tells you he has seen part of that sex tape, right? Right?
Possibly.
We saw it yesterday.
Right, and I'm trying to
Saw
put it in
today.
context. I'm
Okay.
sorry?
He tells you he's seen the sex tape. You tell us this is a serious matter. Why didn't you go and get a court order? Why didn't you pursue TMZ and say, like, listen, you got a sex tape. By God, we want it. We want our hands on it. We'll see that it's destroyed. You did not do that, did you?
That's not what they said, and that was not our agreement. Why don't you ask me what the agreement was, Mr. Sullivan, because you know.
Thank you. Mr. Houston, let's see if we can clear up one last thing. You told us this morning, before our lunch and recess, that what you were upset about was the video excerpts from the sex tape, right?
I'm upset about the video, sir.
All right. And you said, telling the folks what it was that you were upset about, you said, well, we didn't object to the written word. That's what my notes reflect. Do you recall saying that, or words or substance?
I recall indicating that in reference to the letters and the email that I sent to Gawker and to Mr. Denton. Yes, sir.
Do you recall talking about and then as you moved and you told us about the progress to the point you decided to file suit?
I'm sorry, I do not understand your question.
That was not the best of questions. We are in agreement on that. So, let me see if I can do it more simply. You, when this case began, you were upset about the video excerpts that Gawker chose to post on its website, correct?
Yes, among several other things. That's certainly in the category.
Precisely. And among the other things you were upset about, at the point you filed suit, was, in fact, the commentary that was posted, correct?
In contrast, no, not even close.
In contrast, I'm asking you, you were upset at the outset of the case, not just about the video excerpts, you were upset about H.A. Delario's post, weren't you?
Upset is the incorrect word. I think I was more appalled by the notion that someone would do that to another person. And I don't know how you equate appalled and upset, but to me they're a bit different. But the primary issue has been and continues to be the idea they indicated they had a sex video of Mr. Balea. Right. That's always been the thrust, Mr. Sullivan.
My question is much simpler and is more precise. When you began these proceedings that bring all of us here together, Thank you, Your Honor. I have no further questions.
Thank you, Mr. Solomon.